นี่คืออะไรอ่ะไม่ใช่กันนะโอเคใช่ไหม
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome all the online participants. It is my pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon. We appreciate your taking time off your busy schedule to join us today for online seminar on funding opportunity from Japan Info Day. We hope you will find the program we have lined up for you to be fruitful and engaged. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Malika Kunsilipruk, International Relations Officer from NSTDA. To kick off this afternoon program, we are pleased to have Dr. Lily Uraviraisit, Vice President from NSTDA, to deliver the welcome address and opening remark. Please, Dr. Lily.
Oh. Okay. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NSTDA, I would like to welcome you all to an online seminar on research funding opportunity from Japan. First of all, I would like to thank Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, Gsps, and Japan and Technology Agency, JST, for co-hosting this event and providing speakers to share information with our friends and colleagues. As we all know, the economic growth and social development of all countries depend on advances in scientific and technological knowledge, which require sustained research efforts and exchange of ideas and information. Furthermore, the global challenges facing the world today require a collective response from all nations, and science, technology, and innovation will play an essential role. Therefore, we increasingly witness that countries are engaging in international cooperation in science, technology, and innovation, aiming to tap into global pools of knowledge, human resources, and major research facilities, as well as to share costs, obtain more rapid results, and manage the large-scale efforts need to effectively address challenges of a regional or global nature. Today, we are privileged to have guest speakers from Japan to share with us various research and funding opportunities from Japan to promote activities in science and technology. Particularly, you will learn about the information on funding opportunity and to explore future directions of bilateral and multilateral research cooperation, and to jointly develop human resource in S&T. My sincere thanks also go to researchers from Siriraj Medical School, Mahidol University, and National Energy Technology Center, NTEC, for sharing their research experience in Japan and best practices for applying for the research fund from E-Asia Joint Research Program. I hope that you will find the participation in this program helpful and informative and further explore some opportunities offered by JSPS and JST to advance your research cooperation with Japan scientists. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lily, for the wonderful remarks. And before we start for the first speaker, I would like to inform you that during an event, you can send your question to our panelist or speaker in a Q&A session by open the Q&A panel and type your question in the text box and then select send. On the Q&A session, I will read the question to our panelist or speaker to answer your question. Thank you so much. And now we are privileged to have our first guest speaker for introducing Japan Society for the Promotion of Science or JSPS activity in Asia. Please allow me to invite Professor Otani Yoshio.
Okay. Okay.
Just a moment, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Yoshio Tani, the Director of Gsps Bangkok office. Thank you very much for giving me the precious opportunity to introduce Gsps and our international programs. Okay. First of all, I'd like to introduce our organization, Gsps. Next slide, please. Gsps, Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, the acronym is Gsps, is Research Funding Agency. Gsps was established in 1932, so we are 88 years old now. We have contributed to advanced science not only in Japan, but also in other countries by collaborating with universities, institutions, and funding agencies like NRCT. Gsps supports both basic and applied research in all academic fields, including humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Hello. Can you move to the next slide? Oh,
yes, a little bit delay.
Oh, no. Okay. It's better controlled by myself, or I don't know. Some problem?
Some technical problem. Just a moment, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you. These pie charts show the number of researchers exchanged under our international programs in 2019. Over 2,800 overseas researchers were invited to Japan, and more than 4,000 Japanese researchers were sent abroad through our international programs. From Thailand, we accepted over 100 researchers in 2017 and 2018, but the number sharply dropped in 2019. The researchers dispatched from Japan is decreasing sharply during the past 3 years. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Can you move?
Yes, I already. Okay.
Oh, okay. I think. Do you think it is better for me to control, or it's okay?
Yes, you can try to share, because if I share, it's a little bit delay.
Oh, it's okay. So could you give me a control for this, for me?
Yes, you can share slide.
Okay.
Yes, I will stop sharing, and sorry.
Oh.
Okay, you can share. Yeah.
Oh. How can I share? Share.
And I apologize for the all attendees for the technical problem.
I have some problem. I think better for you to control the presentation. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I have something wrong. Please.
Just a moment, I will share for you.
Okay, sorry. Oh, time is passing. Okay, thank you. Now I can start again, okay? This is the fourth slide, right? GSPS has 11 liaison offices in 10 countries in order to promote international research and promotion and collaboration. The Bangkok office is one of them. And next slide, please.
A little bit delayed.
Oh. Why? Okay. This is about GSPS Bangkok office. GSPS Bangkok office is established in 1989. I am the director, the Shotani, and we cover Asian 10 countries plus Bangladesh and also Nepal. The main roles of GSPS Bangkok office is to promote collaboration between Asean countries and Japan, to provide information on GSPS fellowship program, and also to strengthen the relationship among former GSPS fellows and to support Japanese-speaking researchers in this region. Okay, next slide. Please move to next. Very late. Takes long time.
Sorry. Yes, I changed.
Okay. The participants in the GSPS program spread worldwide. GSPS has supported to establish fellow alumni associations in each country to make the tie among former GSPS fellows stronger. There are 20 alumni associations and more than 8,000 GSPS fellows join the alumni activities. Next slide, please. And GSPS Bangkok office support alumni associations in Thailand, Philippines, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, and also Malaysia. GSPS Alumni Association of Thailand, JAAT, was established in 2010. The main activities of JAAT are to hold general assemblies, meeting, scientific symposia, and Rompaku medal award ceremony, and the operation of websites and selection of bridge fellowship program. Okay, next please. From now on, I would like to talk about our international programs. Our programs are quite helpful for those who want to conduct research in Japan or organize joint research team with Japan. Our international program can be divided into 3 groups. The first one is International Fellowship for researchers for research in Japan. The second one is Rompaku program. And the last one is bilateral program or core-to-core program. Next slide, please. I'll begin with the fellowship program. GSPS International Fellowship Program consists of 2 types. The first one is a postdoctoral fellowship. This is for young researchers who finish PhD course in the last 6 years. And second one is invitational fellowship. Invitational fellowship is further divided into 2 types by the length and the purpose of stay in Japan. I'll explain these fellowship programs. Next, please. The first program is Postdoctoral Fellowship. The aim of this program is to provide research opportunities in Japan for young researchers. If you obtain PhD degree within the last 6 years, you can apply this program. There are no age limit for the application. Postdoctoral fellow can be supported Gsps for the period of up to 2 years. The minimum tenure is 1 year. During fellowship tenure, we provide 36,000 to 2,000 Japanese yen, which is about 100,000 baht every month. In addition, we will provide an economy class round-trip ticket between Thailand and Japan. Okay, next, please. The second fellowship program is the Invitational Fellowship. The target researchers of this fellowship is mid-career researchers and also professors. Long-term fellowship provides opportunities to conduct joint research with Japanese researchers. Fellowship can stay up to 2 to 10 months, and they can receive 38,760 Japanese yen per month. The objective of short-term fellowship is to promote the communication between Japanese researchers and foreign researchers through discussion, seminar, and lectures. Fellowship can stay in Japan for 14 to 60 days. 18,000 Japanese yen, which is about 5,200 bahts, will be paid per day. And also economic class air ticket is also provided. Next, please. This table shows the number of applications and its success rate for each fellowship program in the fiscal year of 2020. For postdoctoral fellowship, we received 39 applications from Thai researchers, and 3 researchers passed the screening. The success rate is about 8%. Okay. Next, please. Okay. For invitational fellowship, the success rate for long term was 25%, and short term was about 43%. Thailand is doing very good in short invitational fellowship. You can increase the success rate more if you try much harder, because Gsps does not set any quota for each country. Okay, next, please. Now I'd like to explain the second pillar, Ronpaku program. Ronpaku is a Japanese word, and this word can be translated to dissertation PhD in English. Dissertation PhD is a Japanese unique degree system. You can obtain PhD degree from Japanese universities by submitting the dissertation. The degree is acknowledged as the same as the PhD course degrees. Under Remark program, fellows can stay and keep their positions in Thailand and visit Japan during their vacation to conduct research and preparing for the dissertation under the supervision of Japanese host researchers. The Japanese host researchers can visit you as a fellow for research guidance. To apply for this program, you need to have a full-time position as a researcher and be younger than 45 years old of age. The duration of fellowship is up to 3 years. Gsps provides a maximum of 3.6 million Japanese yen in total to mainly cover travel expenses for fellows and their Japanese supervisors. Gsps has supported 2024 Remark fellows from Thailand so far. Okay, next please. This slide shows the application process of JSPS Fellowship and Remark program. The first thing you have to do is to find or decide your host researchers in Japan. This is the most important step because your host researcher will submit your application to JSPS. If you already have a strong relationship with Japanese professors, they can become your host researcher. Second, prepare application documents listed in the application guidelines. The application guidelines are available from JSPS website. The third step, the Japanese host researcher submits your application to JSPS headquarters before the deadline. Exact deadline is announced in the application guidelines. Please note that all application documents have to be submitted by the Japanese host researcher. Okay, next slide, please. This slide shows how to find your host researcher. The first one is Remark. This is one of the biggest online researcher database in Japan. The second one is University Researcher Database. Each university has their own online database which provides researcher information to the public. The third website is JSPS Researchers Network, JSPS.net. This is a social networking service organized by JSPS headquarters. The website is open not only to the JSPS alumni members, but also to the public. We welcome you to register this website. Okay, next, please. Next, I'd like to introduce two international research collaboration programs. The first program is bilateral programs. JSPS and NRCT is concluded MOU in 1978. Based on this MOU, JSPS supports Japanese team and NRCT supports Thai team by providing financial resources. Selected research projects will be supported up to 3 years. The application process is unique and important. In order to apply this program, Thai project leaders submit the application to NRCT, while Japanese leaders submit the application to JSPS. After both sides' submissions are completed, your application is sent to the peer review process. If you want to apply this program, please contact NRCT for the details. Next, please. Currently, 8 projects are ongoing between NRCT and JSPS. These are the list of projects, the first 3, and also 2 in this slide. Next slide, please. And another 3, the last slide. So we have altogether 8 projects are now going on. Okay. Next, please. This next slide, please. Next program is Core to Core program. This program is multilateral joint research program. Japanese research group works together with 2 or more counterpart countries. The purpose of this program is to create top world-class research hubs or high potential research hubs. It also intends to foster young researchers. In this program, Japanese institution applies this program as a core institution. Therefore, you have to find a strong partner institution in Japan. Please consult your partner researcher in Japan for the application. Okay, next slide, please. The program has 2 types. One is Type A and the other one Type B. Type A is a bigger program in budget, and matching funds from counterpart countries are mandatory. You have to apply research fund from the funding institution in Thailand, and so does the counterpart. Type B is smaller in budget compared to Type A, but no matching fund is required. Okay, next please. This table shows the number of adapted projects for the Core to Core program. 3 projects are now ongoing with Thailand for Type A out of 40 projects, and Type B out of 30 projects for all countries. Thailand is involved as a member for 13 projects. Okay, next please. This slide shows the project titles of Type A in which Thai universities are involved. 3 projects are here, and for Type B, there are 13 projects in which Thailand is involved. In 2020, 5 projects approved, and 2019, 3 projects, and 2018, next slide please. Type B has 5 projects in 2020, and next slide, 3 projects in 2019, and next slide please. Okay, and in 1918, next slide please, 5 projects were approved. So now 13 projects are ongoing. Okay. Okay, next slide please. This slide shows the deadline of each program. As you can see, Gsps set many deadlines in August and September. So please keep this in mind and check your website frequently to get the latest information. Okay, next slide, please. Here's some additional information, so-called Hope Meeting with Nobel laureates. It is held every year to foster future scientific leaders in Asia, Pacific, and Africa. However, 12th Hope Meeting was cancelled due to COVID-19. Next Hope Meeting will be held in March 2022. Okay, next slide, please. This is about the eligibility and how to apply Hope Meeting. The deadline is usually in September, so please keep check on the website. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is the last slide. For the latest information on Gsps programs, please check our website listed here. And I would like to thank you again for attending today's seminar. We hope many of you will be interested in Gsps programs and join the program in the near future. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Otani, for your information on Gsps activity in Asia. Next, it is now my pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker to share with us on research experience in Japan. As a Gsps Remark Fellow, please welcome Dr. Kampana Silva, researcher for Energy Innovation Research Group, National Energy Technology Center, or NTEC. Okay, please, Dr. Kampana.
Thank you very much. So I'll start sharing my slide. Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank the International Cooperation Office of NSTDA of giving me the opportunity to share my research experience in Japan as a Gsps Rompaku Fellow. I'm Kampanak Silva, and as being introduced, I'm a researcher now at the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Research Team, National Energy Technology Center, which is actually the new center, the 5th center in NSTDA, which was officially launched last October. Actually, I'm also one of the committee member of the Gsps Alumni Association Thailand, or JAAT, and currently I'm also a co-chair of the Thai Young Scientist Academy. So, well, a little bit about myself. Well, actually, I got the Royal Scholarship from Thailand to study in Japan, starting from high school. And it's actually a very long-term scholarship, so starting from high school to bachelor degree and master degree. But the scholarship itself aimed to, well, nurture someone to come back to work at the governmental sector, not really for the researchers. So I got the master degree and came back to Thailand in 2012 and started my career at the Thailand Institute of Nuclear Technology, or TINT, in 2012. And actually, well, 1 year after working there, I got the opportunity to receive the Gsps Rompaku Fellowship to go to study again in the University of Tokyo, well, at the same place. And then I got my degree in 2015. 2 years ago, well, actually 1 year and 3 months ago, I moved here to NSTDA, and at the moment I'm at the National Energy Technology Center, NTEC. So I would like to talk a little bit more about the background of my research experience. So as I told you, I got the scholarship to spend 6 years at the University of Tokyo, and actually my major was in nuclear energy. I got my bachelor degree. My thesis was on safety analysis of supercritical water-cooled reactor, which is like the innovative reactor. And actually, I continued to a very similar topic, well, just like going a little bit more focused. So I went on with the coupling analysis of thermohydraulic and structural behavior in steam generators, which is actually one of the components in nuclear power plant. But in the year 2011, which is actually like 1 year after I started my master's study, the accident happened, and I discussed with my professor, and we decided that, well, it would be better for me to change the topic to nuclear risk assessment, because, well, even if I know a lot about the technology related to nuclear power plant, but if there is no one who knows well about the risk assessment, then it would be quite difficult to see whether it's safe enough to use the nuclear energy in Thailand or not. And I continued with that research topic for a year, and my master's thesis was on nuclear accident consequence assessment scheme. And I will be talking a little bit more in detail about that later. As I said, so I changed my topic during the Fukushima accident, and so I had only 1 year to spend with my research. And then I came back and started working at Thailand Institute of Nuclear Technology, and there they say that, well, it would be better for you to continue the research and development on accident consequence assessment. But at that time, it was only me who know about this nuclear accidents and all those stuff. So from Thailand side, we also thought that, well, to continue this kind of R&D, we would need to have advice, suggestions, and also to have like frequent discussion with all the experts. On the other hand, on the Japanese side, well, actually, there were not a lot of people who were working on this nuclear risk assessment at that time, especially in the University of Tokyo. So they also had a need to continue R&D on accident consequence assessment. So it's like a win-win, well, a very constructive relation between Thailand and Japan. So I consulted my professor, And then we decided to apply for JSPS Rompaku scholarship because, well, I got the scholarship from Thailand. It was like the royal scholarship, right? So they don't want me to like take another 3 or 5 years more to go study PhD somewhere else anymore. So they would like me to continue working there at the office and then try to get the PhD if I want. So JSPS Rompaku was a very good choice for me. So we just compare our qualification with the criteria, and then I passed all the criteria. So I achieved substantial research results. So I thought that, well, at that time, I was ready to have the first paper published, and also I'm employed full time at a research institute. So I passed that criterion, and at that time I was like 45 years of age or younger. But on the other hand, my former advisor, who was like at that time like 30-something years old, he was only an assistant professor, so he did not pass one of the criterion, which is must be a full-time professor or associate professor. So he decided to introduce me to one new professor, which is like he's also working on nuclear accident, especially in the nuclear power plant. And I decided to apply with this new professor, having my previous advisor as another co-advisor at that time. So when we decided to apply, well, actually, the Rompaku call for application starts at around, if I remember correctly, in August. But we started the discussion in May or June. And I thought that this is actually very, very important. You need to have sufficient time to discuss with your professor and talk a lot about the theme that you are going to work on, because you'll be working on that theme for at least 2 or 3 years before you receive the degree. So this first discussion on the possibility of applying for program and research plan, I would say that you would need at least like 1 or 2 months to just discuss quite a lot with your professor. And after that, well, you will be the one to prepare like all the forms and also the recommendation letter. And that would be the time that you will need to discuss with your home institution. And then you send all the documents you have to the Japanese advisor. And then at that time, your Japanese advisor will be the one to contact with the university. Another very important suggestion from me is that actually each university will have their own deadlines, which is like, I think 3 or 4 weeks ahead of the deadline of the JSPS. So I also again advise you to consult with the professor at a very early stage if you would like to submit for the application. If you would like to submit the application, and then, well, I don't think I need to talk a little much more about this, so I will just skip. So this is my achievement. So I got the degree in 2015. It took me like 2.5 years after I started the study. And well, this is like the overview of my project. So as I said that actually, well, it was one criterion that you need to have substantial results before you apply. So actually for me, the idea of the framework was quite solidified at the pre-phase before I applied for the scholarship. And after that, well, the latter part are the parts that I did during my PhD study. And these are the achievements. Well, actually, when you get a very good professor, one thing that you will surely receive is that you will get your papers published in a very good journal. Like in this case, during my study, I got 3 papers published, all in quite good journals, especially the first one, Reliability Engineering and System Safety, is actually in the first tier of the nuclear-related journal. It was a very good one. But as you see, I show here another 2 papers which were published in 2016 and 2018. So even after the graduation, I continue collaborating with my previous professor. And at the moment, even after I moved from Tint to National Energy Technology Center, I still link my professor to TINT for them to collaborate even further. And actually, my last paper was the main contribution to me to get the Young Nuclear Scientist Award in 2019. But apart from those achievements, I would call these things the real achievements from the PhD program. So I think degree for me is something like the byproduct. I mean, you can at this moment, there are really a lot of universities out there, and you have like all the online courses in many places, and especially now during this COVID situation, you can even learn online. So to me, the real achievements from this JSPS Rompaku program was the skills to do the research project planning, to coordinate INCO research projects, and also skills in manuscript writing, editing, and also the reply to reviewers. Well, I'm actually very hot-tempered, so I need to really calm down myself before replying to reviewers. So I think like all of the researchers will have a very similar experience with this. And also, I also got the skills to do the oral presentation and also panel discussion at the international conferences. And another very important achievement is the mindset. Well, actually, University of Tokyo was established as a university that nurture governmental officers. So people who study there will get like a bird's eye view. So you will be able to look at the overview of the things. And the last two mindset was something that I really learned from my professor. He said that you need to be aspiring. So like you need to set like a challenging but realistic target. But well, these things are really something that that are trade-off to each other. But I think it's actually possible to set something that is at the same time challenging and also realistic. And another important thing that you will learn from Japanese is that you need to be diligent and tolerable. And also another very, very important achievement is networking. So the laboratory that I belong was quite a very large one. They have like approximately 20 members, and around half of them are international members. So I have like friends from China, from Spain, from Indonesia, apart from Japanese friends. And on the left-hand side, I have a photo with two gentlemen. The one on the left is actually Professor Okamoto, my advisor during my PhD degree, and the one in the center is Dr. Yuki Ishiwatari. He's my former professor during my master degree. And not only networking with the Okamoto lab, but I also got the opportunity to get engaged with the Japan Young Generation Network in nuclear. So this also really extends I would say the circle of the friends that we can really work together. So this is almost my last slide. I think there are three important key success factors that you will be successful in this JSPS Rompaku program. Before the application, you will need to make sure that you select a good professor. In my case, I really consulted my former professor, and then he really recommended working with Professor Koji Okamoto, who actually became very well known after the Fukushima accident. Well, he appeared in the television several times to just explain the accident progression. And apart from that, you also need to have good planning and also good attitude to be able to finish your JSPS Rompaku degree within the time frame of 3 years. So this is my last slide. So you can find further information in the website of JSPS. So I put the link there. And if you have any question, you can just type those questions in the Q&A part, and then I'll try to answer as much as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kapanat, for your sharing valuable experience in Japan. Okay, let us now continue with introduction of the Japan Science and Technology Agency, or JST. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Yoshihide Kobayashi, Chief JST Singapore Office and Office of International Strategy, Japan Science and Technology Agency. Okay. You share the slide for us.
Thank you, Ms. Morika-san.
Okay, I will share the slide just a moment.
Yes.
Okay, Dr.
Yes, this is my slide. Okay, I will start my talk. My name is Yoshihide Kobayashi from Japan Science and Technology Agency. I'm working at the EAJ Joint Research Program Secretariat, which is located in National Science and Technology Agency, Development Agency of Thailand. And today I will talk JST's programs for international collaboration. Next slide, please. Yes, JST. In a nutshell, JST is Japan's most innovative funding agency, connecting a wide range of stakeholders and driving high-risk research that generates real value for a global society. This most innovative status actually comes from the Thomson Reuters ranking 2019 of the world's most innovative research institutions, where JST was ranked number 4 in the world. The rank is based on the factors including patent portfolio and also impact of the researches. Next slide, please. JST is one of the 3 strategic research founders based on the top-down research. The JSPS is the bottom-up approach, but on the contrary, JST is a top-down approach, or like strategic research. And another agencies are NEDO and AMEDO. NEDO focus mainly on academy-industry collaboration and commercialization in new energy technology field, and AMEDO focuses medical research only. JST's range of activity covers broad areas from basic research to commercialization in all natural science fields except medical research. And we have 3 pillars of JST activities. First one is we formulate R&D strategies, and for this purpose, we have several different think tanks in JST. And secondly, we invest in basic research, technology transfer, and information infrastructure so that we can create knowledge and generate socio-economic value. And thirdly, we promote dialogue among different stakeholders, including general people and scientists. Another important component of our activity is also nurturing the next generation as well. Next slide, please. This slide shows our international collaboration program. JST has various programs for international collaboration. Some of them are implementing in Asean countries today. So I'd like to introduce 3 main JST's activities in ASEAN area, which means that SATREPS, EAJ Joint Research Program, and also SSP. Next slide, please. This is the first one, SATREPS. SATREPS means the abbreviation of Science and Technology Research Partnership for Sustainable Development Program. Next slide, please. This is the structure of the SATREPS program. We support international joint research between Japan and developing countries by utilizing ODA, Official Development Asset Scheme, by JICA, which is the International Cooperation Agency, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. This program is very rare program in which the the agencies under the different ministries collaborating each other. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Science and Technology. And in this program, JSP and AMEDO support Japanese researchers using a competitive funding. And on the other hand, JICA supports the partner countries through Technical Cooperation Scheme of ODA. Our target field of the Southwest program are environment, energy, biomass utilization, disaster control, and infectious disease. Only infectious disease fields are covered by AMEDO in Japan side. Other three fields is covered by JSP. And we are aiming at strongly contributing to sustainable development goals through this Southwest program. Research period of this program is from 3 to 5 years, and the funding budget for one project is about US dollar 840,000 per year. Next slide, please. Since its inauguration 2008, we have supported 157 projects in 52 countries. More than half of them have been conducted in Asia, and 1/4 was conducted in Africa, and the remaining 1/4 was in other areas such as the Central and South American countries or Oceania area. And so you can see that the Asia is very important areas for this program. And next slide, please. In Asean countries, we have conducted 68 projects so far, and Indonesia is 19, and Thailand is the second largest country in Asean countries for this program. Thailand has 18 projects. Next slide, please. This slide shows the application flow for the Southwest program. Application flow of this program is a bit complicated. Firstly, the PIs of both countries prepare enough for drafting their joint research proposal. After PIs of both countries plans their joint research proposal, both of PI need to apply for it separately, Japan side and Thailand side. And one important thing is that the submission deadline for counterpart country side, Thailand side, is normally earlier than the Japanese side, because the application form, which we call request for technical cooperation, is past many related agencies. PI will apply to ministry in charge ODA. In case of Thailand, it is the TICA, and TICA send a proposal to the Embassy of Japan in Thailand, and Embassy of Japan in Thailand send the proposal to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then finally all the proposal will lead to the JICA. And if, as I wrote in the bottom, if a request for technical cooperation is not submitted by the partner country side, it will be just as ineligible. So the application by both sides is very important for this program. And next slide, please. Yes, from this slide, I will talk about the EHA Joint Research Program, which is my main activity in Thailand. Next slide, please. EHA Joint Research Program, or EHA JRP shortly, is multilateral international joint initiative by funding organizations in East Asian Summit member countries, which includes 10 ASEAN member countries plus 8 countries: Australia, Japan, New Zealand, China, India, Korea, Russia, and the United States. Since this program was initially proposed at the East Asian Summit, so our target countries are these 10 and 8 countries, we have 2 main activities. One is formulating and supporting international joint research projects in the region on a multilateral basis, and second one is promoting researchers' interaction through workshops. Multilateral basis means that our research projects must be comprised of 3 or more countries. So basically, in principle, we cannot support the bilateral projects, but as exceptional cases, last year we selected bilateral projects under the call for a proposal for tackling COVID-19 due to the urgency. But basically, as I mentioned, our projects are multilateral basis. I mean, must be 3 or more countries. And our main objective is to build a vibrant and collaborative research community in science and technology, and also to resolve shared challenges in the region by pursuing synergistic effects through multilateral cooperation and INCO partnership. Next slide, please. This slide shows our current participate funding organization. Currently we have 23 member organizations and 1 guest partner from 15 countries are joining this program. Member organization means that funding organization in this program. And 1 guest partner is the National Science Foundation, NSF of Sri Lanka. As I told in the previous slide, our target countries are East Asian Summit countries, but we are allowing the funding agency outside of EAS countries to join this program as a guest partner, which enables the researchers in guest partner countries to join EHF project as well. Out of 10 ASEAN countries, unfortunately, only Brunei's funding agency in Brunei is not joining yet. We are still keep on discussing funding agency in Brunei. And outside of ASEAN countries, China, Korea, India, these 3 countries are also not joining yet. And some funding agencies are underlined here. That are the funding agency responsible only for health research. As you can see, many of member organizations, funding organizations outside of ASEAN countries, such as NHMRC of Australia, HLC of New Zealand, and NIAID and NCI of United States, those are the funding agencies supporting health research field only. So with those countries, we can only implement health-related projects. Next slide, please. These are our field of cooperation. These 7 fields are our field of cooperation. And every year, we discuss core topics among EASA member funding agencies from these 7 fields. And at the annual board meeting last year, which was held in September, we decided to launch 10 calls for proposal in 4 specific research areas. Currently, we are opening the 10th call for proposal. I will introduce in my slide later. Next slide, please. This slide shows our basic form of cooperation. EASA project must be consisting of 3 or more countries whose member organizations are joining call for proposal at least. So if the member organization, funding organization of your country are not joining the call, unfortunately, you are not eligible to apply. And researchers will get support from funding organization of your country. I mean, the Japanese researcher will get funding from Japanese funding agency like GST, and Thai researcher will get funding from Thai funding agency like PMUD or NSTDA and so on. And research period is 3 years, and research funding will be, if new fund is provided, it will be roughly $50,000 to $350,000. It's depending on each core and funding agency's policy. And next slide, please. Regarding the form of support by funding organizations, there are 3 types of funding modalities. New funds means a new fund will be provided by the funding member organization, but other 2, first one is rebudgeting modality, means no additional funding will be provided, but if you have other existing projects funded by your funding organization, you will join EHA project by reallocating the budget of existing projects. And thirdly, in-kind modality means no funding will be provided other than in-kind support. So a researcher needs to participate in a project using your own budget. Before we opening a call for proposals, each funding member organization choose funding modalities. They apply from these 3 modalities and announce it in the call guideline. Applicants have to follow the funding modality designated by your funding member organization. So if your member organization does not write a new modality in the call guideline, then the applicant cannot request new fund from your funding member organization. Next slide, please. This slide shows the information of current 10 calls for proposals. We are now opening 4 calls for proposals, 4 areas from 15 December 2020 to 29 March 2021. And that topics are materials informatics and advanced material research by utilizing computers, and second one is functional food for nutrition, and third one is marine science and climate change, and last one is infectious disease and cancer. And as you can see, the funding agency of Thailand are joining their calls in 3 areas. PMUB is joining in a materials call, ARDA is joining agriculture call, and NSTDA and NSTDA is joining a health research, especially only for infectious disease. So the Thai researchers are eligible to apply to these 3 topics and have to write a joint research proposal with other 2 countries joining in these calls for proposal. Next slide, please. This slide shows the process of joint call for proposals. We open the call for proposal via EASA joint research website first. Call guidelines and the application form is posted on this website. Once researchers make their joint proposals, you will apply it to the EASA Joint Research Program Secretariat by email. And after we close the call on March, from April to July, funding member organization review the proposals in which researchers of your country is participating. Then, around August and September, we will have joint review meeting to make a candidate list of proposals to select. And finally, at the annual board meeting, we decide new project. Final result will be announced by the end of this November. the important point in this slide is that since proposals are reviewed separately by each relative member organization of your proposal, if your proposal consisting from Philippine researcher, Thai researcher, and Japanese researcher, then your proposal will be reviewed by the funding agency of these three countries. And your proposal must be highly evaluated by all these relative funding agencies. If one of the relative funding agencies in those three countries reviews your proposal very low, then your proposal will be rejected. Next slide, please. From this slide, I will introduce our short-term invitation program named Sakura Science Exchange Program, or SSP shortly. Sakura Science Exchange Program is a short-term invitation program from 1 week to 3 weeks at the maximum, which started in 2014 to invite Asian youth to Japan for aspiring Asian youth in science and technology, and for enhancing exchanges between ASEAN and Asian and Japanese youth. And in this program, host Japanese institutes invite exchange youth of foreign countries to Japan and giving opportunity to pursue science and technology in Japan, such as lectures by distinguished scientists, visiting research institutes and universities, exchanging with researchers, and so on. Next slide, please. There are two tab programs under this SSP program. One is open application type, and the other one is Sakura Science High School program. But the second one is a program only for high school students. I will skip it this time. And as for the first sub-program, open application type, Japanese host organization prepares exchange plan in cooperation with the Thailand organization and submit it to JST, submit their plan to JST. The same as the JSPS program, counterpart country cannot apply. So if you want to join this program, you firstly have to find your host institute in Japan, and that host institute in Japan will apply for you. Next slide, please. Eligible Asian youth for this program is under the age of 40 and also never stayed in Japan. But as an exceptional case, conductor of group can be over 40s. And because the budget of this program is increasing every year, eligible countries are also expanding. The number of the applications are also expanding. Currently, 41 countries and regions are eligible. And the cost coverage is, as you can see, the expenses including international round trip, airfare, accommodation, meals, and travel in Japan, travel insurance, and are covered by JST. And next slide, please. Yes. Unfortunately, I couldn't update these statistics, but what I want to say with this slide is that Thailand has the largest invitees in the ASEAN countries for open application type. We have already 2,633 invitees from Thailand. And we also hope to expand our collaboration with the ASEAN countries through this program. Next slide, please. In order to utilize a network of those who experience SSP program, we have established alumni club called Sakura Science Club. SSC has over 33,000 members around the world and increasing each year. In case of Thailand SSC Alumni Association was formed in 2017, and we had second alumni meeting in November last year. Since it was an online meeting, it was attended by about 200 audience from 19 countries, and they heard talk from young talented Japanese innovators and exchanged SSP experience and studying experience in Japan. And next slide, please. I think this slide is last slide and most important slide for researchers. This slide shows the core information for these three programs. SATREPS core we usually open from September to November, almost same as the program by GSPS. And these four fields and award announced will be May. Japanese PI applies to eLab system, which is the Japanese online application system. And on the other hand, Thai PI must apply to TAICA. But it should be noted that, as I mentioned before, Thai side will close earlier than Japanese side. So I hope you to confirm to TAICA once we open the call for proposal in September. And second program, EAJ Joint Research Program is opening, hence call for proposals now until 29th March this year in these four areas. And lead PI needs to send a joint research proposal to EAJ Joint Research Program Secretariat. And also each PI has to satisfy requirements of funding agency of your country. Sometimes funding agency of each country request set some requirement. So each PI also has to satisfy the requirement of your funding agency as well. And last program, SSP, is normally open call from January to November and review and award 4 times in a year. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this invitation program is now in a very difficult situation. We do not open call yet this year, and still they are considering to open call. It may be from April at the earliest. So these are the current situation of each program. This is the end of my talk. And after my talk, Asean Shibano of Mahidol University will kindly talk with the experience of EAJ Joint Research Program. He is one of the PI of one of the EAJ project. His talk must be much more informative for all of you for considering application to EAJ Joint Research Program. Please enjoy his talk. Thank you very much for paying attention. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mr. Yoshi, for your information on funding opportunity. Next, it is now my pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker to sharing with us on the best practice and successful in applying for eAsia Joint Research Program. Please welcome Dr. Siwanon Jirawatthanothai from Department of Pharmacology, Sirirat Medical School, Mahidol University. Please, Dr. Siwanon.
Thank you, the host. And I would like to kindly thank eAsia, NSTDA, and lastly, Mr. Kobayashi, our old friend, for nominating our project to showcase today. I would like to be very humble. I think I am one of the program that is going on well, but I have a lot of thought on this collaborations and the eAsia funding itself, I think it's really unique and it's quite helpful for researchers, especially in Thailand, to actually lift up the standard of research as well as to make the international collaboration. So to learn more about my program and all the success that I hope I could share a little about it, I would like to introduce you the aspect of the project first, so that you can follow me on the story I'm telling you. So this project is named Construction of the Cholangiocarcinoma or Liver Fluke Associated Biliary Cancer PDX Library for the Precision Medicine. That's the short for it. So this technology, the PDX, is the live animal cancer models that mimic what had happened in a human patient. And then we hope that once we construct a large enough cohort of the PDX, we can learn about what had happened in a human patient as well. And we also could try to use these models to test all the drugs, understand the drug and the disease interactions, and try to find some biomarker out of it. So this on the screen, you see all the PIs. Let me put the laser pointer on. That jointly working together to create, to make this project possible. I think I'd like to really thanks to Professor Seiji Okada from Kumamoto University. He actually introduced me to eAsia JRP funding. And then we get a good chance to coordinate the application together. As Mr. Kobayashi has introduced it to you, it's not that easy, because we have to convince the funding agency in each country to believe that this is a great project, to get a good grade from every one of them. But with the help from friends and research network, and also the coordinator such as Mr. Kobayashi, it's not that too bitter for us. And at the end, we was very successful in the application. So Professor Okada is here from Kumamoto University, already mentioned. Our partner from America, Professor Pietro Chisinski from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Harvard Medical School. And our project is quite special because Thai teams, we are two teams together, but we work as one team. This is Dr. Kuntida Weti Buttachan from Phongkan University. It is important to mention that when we talk about cholangiocarcinoma research, we have to acknowledge that Phongkan University has been the leader for a long time. So this is all the PI you have seen, and beyond this, we have a lot of researchers in the team. Each team consists of other professors, other postdoc students as well, that I probably don't get a chance to mention for all of them. Perhaps I'll talk about some of them later. So the eAsia got officially kicked off in Thailand at Sirat Hospital. This was the press conference at Sirat Hospital at the beginning of year 2019. Everyone was here. You see Professor Okada here, Dr. Kuntida here, a team member, Dr. Sompunat Sampatawarit from Sirat Hospital. We have this advisor, Professor Sertipong Kam, a very famous professor from Phongkan University, and of course, Kobayashi Sang was there, and Dr. Lily from NSTDA was there as well. So it was really a good day. We start off, we learned a lot of things together from that point, and I think we get quite a successful one, although we have not really concluded the project yet because we are still in the middle of the project. But I'll let you know and then see what has happened. So a little bit about science. For a lot of the people who are not involved with cancer research, in Thailand, cholangiocarcinoma is really a major problem for Thai people. In fact, this is one of the leading cancer in Thailand. Interestingly, we don't see this disease anywhere else in the world, or maybe much lower rate, maybe 10 times more than that in Thailand. And because of the rarity where else in the world, the research on cholangiocarcinoma is really lacking behind other cancers. So this is really a famous diagram by a publication from our friend from Konkan University, Dr. War Luvila. He published this diagram, which I like to present it in many of the scientific conferences. This is what had happened to cholangiocarcinoma patients. In the textbook, it only say that the only way to cure this cancer is by having a surgery. From the stats, in 2016, among 163 patients coming to the Nakrin Hospital in Konkan, only 10 of them eventually received an operation. So 153, the rest of them, they have to be treated with the other means, mainly pharmacological treatment. But sadly, there's really no good drugs for cholangiocarcinoma yet. Only about 1/4 or 25% of the patients will respond to the drug this day. And there's really nothing better we can do for the patient. Therefore, our group, in fact, we formed a working group among 3 institutes for quite some time. We just call it pre-eAsia era. We applied for the grant from NSTDA. This grant composed of myself, Dr. Kuntida from Konkan University, and Professor Okada from Japan. And the grant was quite successful. We tackled the problem of the drug, lacking of the effective drug, by screening, doing a lot of screening with about 20 human cell lines, cholangiocarcinoma cell line, against more than 100 cancer drugs, mostly targeted therapy. We separate them into subgroups, and then we get some biomarkers that can predict which subgroup will respond to one of the drugs that we selected. With that in mind, we think that the next process would have to be a test where you can translate this in vitro laboratory result to the patient. So we thought of some of the funders that may fund some of such a program like this. And that funding has to be supporting international collaboration. I'll tell you why that we need international collaboration for this project. And then this funding has to be big enough and also support the travel between the personnel from the different groups as well. So here comes, this is the proposal for the eAsia. I do this graphical summary of the work that we proposed for the eAsia funding. So basically, we are going to make these special animals. These are models, the cancer models, by which we can test the drugs, we can analyze the biomarker, we can also observe and learn about drug resistance and heterogeneity, quite similarly to that what had happened in humans as well. The idea would be that we would obtain fresh tissue from Thai hospitals. So mainly we are getting the tissue from Konkan University and Sirilat Hospital. And a part of the tissue will be supplied by National Cancer Institute, Thailand. This party has joined later on as a collaborator. Then the tissue should be sent and developed into this in the special animal that belong to Kumamoto University, owned by Professor Okada. This mice is really special in that they don't have immune system. So this is really high grade one. The immune system is really low. So it would uptake human tissue, especially cancer. The rate is really great. The uptaking rate is about 80%. Then from here, we can grow the tissue. And then when the tissue became very big, we can do the surgery, and then we do more implantation. And then we get a cohort of 20 mice, 40 mice, 50 mice, or whatever the number that we want to. The rest of the tissue can be also stored at the tissue bank cost. we will do the characterization of this tissue. For example, we would do exome sequencing of it, we would do transcriptome sequencing of it, just to learn about the molecular characteristics of it. Then we later on we use it to identify the biomarker. So this animal, as I said, can be used for the drug testing. We can also learn about biomarker because in the era of the personalized medicine, we have to be able to classify patients according to their biomarker to the subgroup and then match with the appropriate drug. So as the extension of the eAsia project, we also promise that we will make what is called the ex vivo 3D culture, or in the cancer research field, we call them organoids. These are as good as PDX, but they are obviously very much in vitro. We grow them into the fuzzy ball in laboratory. A lot of people believe that this can also be used to for the drug testing as well. So every party contribute quite equally into the project. Kumamoto University, the owner of the very specific mice, will contribute the implantation part, and this part will be also supported by Sirilan and Khon-Kaen University, because eventually NSTDA would like us to also receive the technology transfer from Kumamoto University. Of course, very interestingly, Kumamoto University by Professor Okada is willing to share all these special mice. I don't need to mention about the price of these mice in the market. The equivalent strain of the mice would cost more than 20,000 Thai baht per mouse. So it is nearly impossible for Thai scientists to be able to use these models. And then for the biobank, we are going to have this biobank from stored in 3 different institutes. So part of them will be stored in Kumamoto University. And those who are the owner of the tissue, who collect the tissue from each different site, will get to store the biobank of those tissue that belong to them as well. For the drug testing here, this will be in close collaboration with Kumamoto University. The part that will be done in the animal. And the part of the mechanistic study will be helped by Dana-Farber Cancer Institute partners, Professor Shisinski. Also, they will be involved with the biomarker identification as well. So for this is quite interesting. You see that Dana-Farber doesn't actually have to invest a lot on the reagent and things. This is because of the specific requirement from US NCI, National Cancer Institute in America, that they only support the in-kind support for the groups, but not paying the money. Therefore, the American group will have to contribute in terms of the building capacity, meaning providing the technology transfer, as well as some personnel training for us. So I hope you get the idea of what we are doing. So this is the mice, the famous mice I was talking about. It was the successful transplantation of human cancer into the subcutaneous area of the mice. The mice can also be implanted intrahepatic, mimicking what had happened into the cholangiocarcinoma patient as well. We also have used these models to test some of the candidates drug screen from our lab. And then these two resulted in publication in the very early phase of the eAsia. And we believe that by the end of the eAsia support, we'll get even more of the publication. However, I have to reiterate again that eAsia are very kind, and they are emphasizing on making the good relation between researchers, making the network, and partially they would like to see the technology transfer among the country or the labs that are part of the project. So publication is not only the key, but collaboration and sharing is actually the key for the success of the eAsia. So this is the part that we are also doing in our lab at Cyprus Hospital, and also partly being conducted at Khon University. We're growing this organoid. This is what I told you. This is a ball of the cancer cell grow in tissue. They characteristically, they look more like the tissue in the body as well. We have previous expertise on growing organoid from other cancer types. For example, colorectal cancer, or we have grown breast cancer. And in this case, on the left, you see pancreatic cancer here. On the right, in this screen, we have grown successfully the ovarian cancer. And here it is. This is the organoid of the cholangiocarcinoma. So this organoid can be interchangeable with the PDX, the mouse model as well. Believe it or not, if you exhibit the PDX model, the cancer that grows in mice can be easily grown in the organoid in compared to that fresh tissue, and vice versa. So this is something of very technical. It's not just the deep science, not the rocket science, but this is contribute greatly for those people who study cholangiocarcinoma. So we are hoping to publish this new finding as well, and how we grow our homegrown organoids from mice, and from organoid inject back to the mice as well. And this is what we hope. We hope to use organoids to test the drug. So let's say you have some possible candidate drug for this individual. We can also test it beforehand, before the drug being actually applied to the patient, according to their biomarker discovery. So that's about all the science that I like to share. I hope that is not too boring for all of you. But now I like to talk on my personal aspect, on the interaction between researchers among researchers in my network on the eAsia platform. It's actually a really nice publication from accountability research coming out last year about the burdens of the international collaboration. Although all kinds of researchers, when did the survey test, they said that international collaboration is a good thing, but not a lot of people can actually do it or implement that effectively. And this is from the survey from that publication. It was saying that most of the barriers are summarized here. Interestingly, most of the barrier identified was stemmed from the logistic issues here. The biggest single factor is the funding one, but today we are talking with the funder now, so I'm not going to talk about funding because I assume that there should be no funding problem here in this seminar. But most of the problem that face the researcher would be those logistic ones. For example, time zones. Well, I admit that we don't get to talk much about to our friend in America. We only do it maybe 4 times a year. Having one of the students who is a recipient for a Jaffa Mahidol or Prince Mahidol Award, staying in America with them, a student from Khon University, we get a chance to talk to the person at the lab from time to time, and to try to help and offer some thought on their research occasionally. But time zone really play the problem here. I'll show you one nice picture at the end of the talk today. Also, we must concern about the communication. But I bet all the researchers here, especially today's seminar, you guys don't have problem with communication in English at all. But again, there might be some sort of the factor of the cultural differences and things. I think most of the time, if we can get the problem of the logistic issue under control, I think we can also do that. One of the problems that was introduced by the survey, and also myself can confirm, is a calendar one. For me, it means that in working calendar in different countries quite different. For example, those friends in America, after Thanksgiving, they try to, they tend to be very relaxing. Things are very slow in December for those people in America. For us, we sometimes almost completely disappear from our conversation because, especially during the summer semester, where a lot of people need to teach a lot, that's also included in this part as well. And for me, I don't have a problem because I don't get to stay or fly over to other friends' lab in different countries for a long time. But separation of the family member, for example, your student or your postdoc need to stay in a different country just to get some important work done. It's also part of the problem as well. So I think if we can do online talking, we can do a short exchange course, sometimes in conjunction with Gsps or some other exchange program would be really helpful for that. The next slide is also burden that I want to talk about. This is actually hidden and not really talked about much, but these are really important in my mind. I think in this one, you will see that the biggest hurdle for the scientists here is the academic standard. This is hard and sometimes politically incorrect to talk about, but I think it's important. If the science level between lab and the partners are very different, the interaction would not last very long. Especially a friend in Thailand, if we are asking for help and support from our friends from different countries, but we are not able to contribute back, we would not feel that comfortable at all. So we should try to identify strength in your own lab and then offer that as something that we can offer back to our partner as well. In our project, of course, the uniqueness of the disease and the situation is also a good thing. But not only that, we should try to contribute in terms of the intellectual effort as well. Some technology, believe it or not, these days, some scientists in Thailand adopt or develop some good techniques. Our lab, we have really good, very strong screening facility with the collaboration with Professor Sompunat Sampatawanit. He is basically an engineer. He calculates a lot of things which I cannot do, and that turned out to be really a great communication and also good teamwork, in which we think that it's very unique and we can contribute to the network, not just only asking for help. So I think this is something that we should be aware of, and then I think it would make the interaction very large. Some issue that I think is important that I need to talk about is the material and data sharing. This includes all kinds of unpublished data as well. It's not just only the paper and things. eAsia will be very effective if eventually you form a lifelong relationship with researchers in different countries. Therefore, it would be really good to set the standard upfront that you are really the same team and actually share all the data and also sharing your concern. For example, if you have a problem with collaborator in your country, for example, some of the hospital is really giving me a hard time in terms of the sharing tissue in the different countries. We have to share with our friends, and then we can try to tackle the problem as the whole team. I think this is really healthy. Sometimes we don't get much of the result that we hope for from the beginning, but I think somehow we survive, and then we can cope with the problem with sometimes even better result. Something that we can also have to talk to our friend is bureaucracy. There's some steps. For example, if you are in the governmental unit, we must admit that in Thailand, the supportive system, the paperwork system, let's say the intellectual property department, and also the MTA department, they are probably not that competitive when compared to those in a different country, really developed country. So keep in mind that you may need longer time when you do the same thing as your partner doing exactly the same thing in a different country. This is important, but 10 years ago, we don't even have this MTA review officer, but this day we have it. But it takes like forever to get the MTA done, for example. So this is something that we really have to keep in mind. But importantly, I think communication could be burden, but communication could be beneficial. It can help you, support you, as long as you talk to and your partner are willing to talk to you, and with a good and sincerity, I think you would cope with the situation. Right? Just keep communicating. And last slide, I'd like to show you a few numbers. So these are the example of the percent of the collaborative publication from different countries. So these researchers, they fill in the questionnaire, and from different countries, you see that this is the percentage of scientific international publication, meaning that how many of the percent of their paper have international collaboration. So even in the US, I think they probably are not looking out to different countries because they have really great technology. Interestingly, 1/3 of their researchers don't have international collaboration. Those researchers in Europe, they do much better in terms of the international collaboration. Unfortunately, I don't have the number for Thailand or Japan, but I really believe that Japan must have a good number, a very decent number as well, because of this international collaboration program. But take a look at our member. I think we are gathering people with a like mind. So a lot of people here have really high percentage of international collaboration in their paper. Sadly, I'm actually the leader in Thailand. I have the lowest number here, 53. But it's not that bad. 53 is approximately 80 percentile for the US researcher, right? I think the highest one would be our partner in America, Dr. Shinsky. And interestingly, Dr. Kuntida from Konkan has a really high number here, and Professor Okada as well. I am happy to be the last one among us. So this means that these are people who are expert in the international collaboration. Right? So I think a lot of problem that's specific to Thailand can be forgiven. A lot of problem in the logistics can be solved easily, or it's not a new thing for them. And if you can see here, this is the number of the publication among this group. It's not really surprising that Dr. Kuntida is really a long-time collaborator with Professor Okada. Yeah, so they published together 30-something paper over the last course of, I would say, less than 10 years. So this is really a super productive one. I had the previous publication with Professor Shinsky when I was back at the Harvard Medical School. And even when I came back to Sirat, work at Sirat Hospital, we continued to publish together. Although I myself was trying to be very independent from him by establishing my name as the independent researcher, but I see a lot of time we have to collaborate with him. Interestingly, I don't know if you remember when I started my career in Thailand a long time ago, the academic position evaluation was not very clear about whether or not they give the advantage or disadvantage with the people who collaborate and publish with a lot of international institute. But this day, I think we have to emphasize as the Thai institute that we must have international collaboration. And it must be tangible by appearing in the publication. I think it's a great thing. Just during the last 5 years, I managed to publish with Professor Okada independently. and I also managed to publish with the network of Okada plus Dr. Kuntida with another 2 papers. So this we have worked together. It's not something of a secret that we are working as a collaborator before, which I think it helped greatly when we work on the eAsia, because remember eAsia is emphasizing on sharing and long-term network there. So it must be more than just the co-publishing and maybe asking your friend to do 1 or 2 experiments. It has to be more important than that. So far, we have had this previous experience working together. We are quite an experienced international collaborators. We publish a lot of papers with different groups in different countries. I think that's a good thing to help. We have to make sure we take care of the logistic problem, and also we have to understand the strength and the weakness of our group in Thailand, and I think our partner would do the same too. So far, not only we doing the exchanging of the reagents, we do the workshop together. Unfortunately, the workshop has been interrupted by the COVID situation this day, but we're going to resume soon. This special mouse will be transferred to Thailand within a couple of months, and also to Khon Kaen University as well as to Srilanka as well. This is really great because you would probably beg people with your leg and arms to get this mic, but Professor Okada would share it. Really nothing to need back from us at all. It's just for the sake of our collaboration, because previously we wanted to do this technology transfer step by step, but because of COVID, he was just saying that, okay, take the mic and then try it yourself and see what happens, right? But remember, this is really valuable and more ones. We have, I had one student staying with Professor Okada and working on the mouse project, very same one that we presented today. Dr. Kuntida goes back and forth, and also Professor Okada go back and forth between Japan and Thailand all the time. I have one student being co-advisor and also taking care of with Professor Chisinski in America as well. Here's a secret. I think the secret are hidden in the photos. So we have to know how to make a great lab photo like this. Some student is working at the bench, and it's really funny the way now she's an important member because she is with Professor Okada. Just like we are leaving a hostage there in Japan, one of them, just to make sure the work is going right. This is the international lecture and workshops on system biology and how to do the drug screening by our group. And Jan Okada was the guest and then did the lecture as well. It was taking place at Khon Kaen University. Well, of course, sometimes if we have to do the MOU, we do the MOU. People love photo opportunity, right? And everyone is happy. All the important members of our team are there. This is American group. They sent the picture for us during the COVID situation. I was asking what had happened to them. And sometimes we send our hostage there too. Dr. Samunat was there a few times. Myself was there a few times. And this is really nice photo of another trip. This trip is another one, just later on, I think just before COVID. We visited animal facility in Khon Kaen University. Our Sirilat sister institute like us, also Kumamoto University, was trying to help to make them get going about the facility there. In fact, their facility is better than our facility, I have to say. With the international meeting supported by eAsia, Mr. Kobayashi was one of the hosts there in Singapore. We get the chance to showcase our collaboration and some of the latest scientific results there as well. So it was really good and useful. So go out there, take any opportunity that you can meet with your friends, and then complain to them, talk to them, and share good news with them. with the group in America, we do this Zoom meeting. And this is also a Zoom meeting. You can see that this is late night in Boston. It's in the morning, Thailand. So we have to do all this kind of sharing the result and talking about the result. A lot of time we work after hours. There was Professor Okada, one of his trip to visit Konkan University. He also brought in new friend, Professor Takeo, from very famous one in the mouse reproductive facility, in the card facility, very world class one at the Kumamoto University. At the time it was the plan to set up the mouse workshop there. And of course, Chisinski come to Thailand. Thai people go to Chisinski lab, and also we go to Harvard Medical School, like I said. And some relaxing time is really good because this is where you get to bond with your friend. You get to understand the nature or the way of their thinking, especially if we are from different cultures. I must say that science is not that complicated. It's not different from playground or in your classroom. If you are a popular person, you have a lot of friends. You kind, you are fair, you share, you have a lot of friends, and then the friend will like you. It's just not different from playground as well. So with that in mind, I like to just end it and then perhaps open for the next question. And I like to volunteer myself. If you ever think of applying or would like to sharing my experience in more of the Asia grant, I think it's a great one, and I would be happy to be part of the team to help Thai scientists or perhaps some other country as well if they get to help me, if they get to see today's seminar. You can email me, call me, or whatever you like to. Put the line ID there. So I like to end this, and thanks once again for the NSTDA and Asia, Mr. Kobayashi, to allow me to come here and share my experience. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Simanun, for your sharing valuable experience and best practice for Asia Joint Research Program. Next, I'm pleased to open the floor for the Q&A session. My colleague will share the question that I got from the Q&A text box in the screen. And for the first question is it possible for the foreigner who working in Thailand university to apply this program? Also, is it possible to apply for the research fund? And this question is for Professor Otani. Please, Professor Otani.
Oh, foreigner. I think I'm not sure, but if I have a position at Thai University, I think foreigner can apply. Yes. So answer is yes. Okay.
Yes, and for the second question, do you have any suggestion on how to find a new host research in Japan? And I think that in this question, Professor Otani already informed in the slide.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and now we skip to the question 3. Okay. I am a professor in Japan, applied for bilateral choice seminar for Gsps last year, but the application was rejected. Any suggestion to increase the chance to get the grants? Thank you.
Okay. NRCT and Gsps does not support joint seminar, only joint research. So I think we are not, that kind of a support is eligible for the applicants, I guess. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
So I think the university should explain we cannot accept that kind of support for the seminar, not the research, right?
Okay. For the next question, does Gsps have scholarship or fund for the postdoc or collaborations like a visiting researcher or assistant professor?
Yes, as I explained, we have a program to support postdoc and some faculty staff. But the title after getting position in Japan, it depends on the university. They offer these things researcher or visiting professor, whatever. This depends on the university you are going to. Okay.
Okay, and okay, for the next question, if I am in the area of applied social science education, am I not eligible to apply for the long-term invitational fellowship? Because I noticed that those success cases are all from science and applied science field.
Okay. I think long-term invitational program is very competitive. As I showed in the slide, only 1 out of 4 applicants are approved from Thailand. And I'm not sure which field the accepted applicant is. But I checked the record, and there are 61 applications approved, and 7 adapted applicants in the field of social sciences. So we don't discriminate any field of research. Okay?
Okay, and thank you for your answer. The next question is for the Mr. Yoshihide. It's regarding eAsia JRP grant. The research proposal for eAsia has to be in the high priority or rank in the research agenda for all country partners. Is that correct?
Yes. As I mentioned in my presentation, and also Achan Chiwano Sensei also mentioned that your proposal must be reviewed highly by all of your relative funding agencies. Right.
Okay, and thank you. And for the next question, I'm not sure, could you provide information about Sokendai application in this year? I'm not sure, do you have the information about this program?
Well, we don't know it.
We don't know. Sorry.
It's not our program, I think.
But maybe you can, the attendee who asked this question can search the information from the Sokendai website. You can try to search and to find some information for this program. So sorry that our speaker cannot give more information on this program.
Sorry.
And okay, we skip for the next question. How many grants will we provide for eAsia in the year of 2021?
Oh. Yeah, actually, it's basically depending on the combination. And also the budget of each funding agency. So it's difficult to say how many projects we will set. So I think it's depending on the combination and also budget of each country. Yeah.
Yes, maybe can I answer for this question in terms of NSTDA funding side? For NSTDA, the budget for Thai researcher over a full 3-year period is up to 5 billion baht for the 3 projects, 1 to 3 projects. And for the NRCP, its budget for Thai researcher over a full 3-year period is up to 75,000 or 3 million baht for the 1 to 3 projects. And for the PMUB, for the topic of materials, it's the same budget with NSTDA is 5 million baht, and we support 1 to 3 projects. And for the ARDA, that support on the agriculture, the topic on the functional food for nutrition, budget for Thai researcher may differ in each project and each year, depends on the content of activity. Okay, these are all information about the budget. Okay, and the next question is, may I ask for several panelists about the funding? Does the funding that needs visiting or exchange still go on during COVID-19 period for this year 2021?
Yes, the project of JSPS are still accepting the application, even for the visiting and exchange, including the visiting and exchange program. But I don't know, depending on the COVID situation, maybe the policy may be changed in the future. But not, at present, we are calling for the, we are looking for the applicants as same as last year. Okay.
Yeah. May I please add some info? In fact, NSTDA is very flexible about the travel. I have a plan, and several of our members has a plan to go to Japan, and also from Japanese side coming to Thailand as well. So when we had this problem, we keep applying for the Japanese visa. During this time, we have to apply for the Japanese visa. Everything seems to be okay. We just have to follow the announcement from Japanese side. But there's really no restriction from the funder to say to prevent us from going or not. If you plan to apply for, I think you can put whatever plan you like to. And for our part, I think NSTDA also allow us to transfer part of the money from the travel to transport some of the reagents and the animal instead of human going. So I think we can adapt in that sort of situation, but we never know what happened. I don't think you can plan things ahead this day.
Okay, thank you. And okay, shall we move to the next question? And what does it mean for in-kind? I mean, I saw that NASA is in-kind in the slide. Okay, Mr. Yoshide, could you please answer the question?
Yeah, as I mentioned that we have 3 types of funding modalities, and one of funding modalities is in-kind support. As I mentioned that in-kind means that no funding will be provided from the member organization of your country. So this time NASA raised their funding modality 2 types, in-kind and new. But at first, your proposal will be reviewed from the point of the project to be supported by a new fund. But if your proposal will be rejected from the point of new fund support, then as a second chance, your proposal will be reviewed as a in-kind support project. So it may not be good for you, but it will be good for your collaborative funding, your collaborative partners. Because even if you are rejected through the new fund support process, but your project may have a chance to be selected as a second chance.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And for the next question is question about the SPS invitation program. If there are any limitations such as age and work position for applying to the Gsps long-term invitational program?
We don't have any restriction for age and position. They can apply regardless of any age, and they can apply as many times as they want. So no limitations. Okay.
Yes, thank you. And we got the last question, but not showing the screen. That is, what are criteria for joint research program selection? Any suggestion to increase the success rate?
Joint research.
Maybe Mr. Yoshihide.
Yeah. So in case of EAJ Joint Research Program, today I didn't mention about the evaluation criteria, but we have the 3 common evaluation criteria in the program. First one is the relevance of the research, and second one is it should be the mutually beneficial for the 3 countries. And last one is effectiveness of the exchange, as the Chiwano Sensei mentioned that the nurturing the early career researchers and the networking is also an important point. These 3 is the common evaluation criteria from the point of the EAJ Joint Research Program.
Okay, and we got the last question. Now come up now is for MEX scholarship in nuclear and radiation field. That providing to Thai master students is just only for research field, but not for PhD enrollment. Is there any way the scholarship will be extended for PhD candidates?
I don't know. So,
No, I'm not sure.
May I, from JST side, unfortunately, we don't have any project related to nuclear radiation field, but in EHS scheme, we are providing mixed scholarship for the researcher who is joining EHS project. And in this case, if the very talented student, he or she will get both master course and also PhD course scholarship as well.
Well, I think basically for the field of nuclear and radiation, the scholarship from MEX is basically for the researchers to go to study, well, not really study, to go to do the co-research in Japan, not really to do the study for a long term. So that's the reason why they are not providing the PhD enrollment there.
I think now it's like now we are come to the end of the session. Okay, thank you for our question and answer. On behalf of NASDA, Gsps, and JST, we would like to thank you for your kind interest and participation. We hope everyone has a very productive time today, and thank you very much. Have a nice day.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.